wrote a report at some point in time. It was actually what I had hoped would be the foundation of a criminal investigation that would lead to filing of charges. And I actually took a copy of that report with some other reports and I gave them to a staff person at Senator Ted Cruz's office. I never heard back from them. Why would I give a legal strategy to a senator staffer? Well, honestly, I had had what I understood to be a witness, I'd been a witness to an act of wire fraud that had come the night after another act of wire fraud that was connected to the murder of Aaron Hernandez. And had later been used and leveraged in other murders that I understood were acts of retaliation against law enforcement that had Hispanic surnames. And I also understood that he had been a critic of two of the major things that were in consideration regarding my charges, and I had no one else to talk to. Was it a bad decision? It may well have been. It doesn't change the fact that it was a real report, and I actually provided it to a senator's staffer after I had been absolutely 100% denied legal process. And by the way, this senator was the former Solicitor General of the state of Texas. So, in some ways, it wasn't quite as ridiculous as it may sound otherwise. If you take the politics out of it and the understanding that some people may see something like that as an attempt to curry political favor, if you're a homeless woman on the streets, you have those capabilities, and you're being attempted for extortion by an organized crime syndicate, and he's not one of the criminal masterminds of that organized crime syndicate, then there should have been some sort of movement that was taken, and there should have been some outcome that would actually have allowed for the instantiation of what otherwise has materialized up until this point. At some point, I came up with what could have been a business plan. But it wasn't a business plan in a conventional sense. My understanding is that I knew that it would have to involve the intercession of various kinds of agencies affiliated with the federal government that would be able to provide the kind of security support necessary in order to successfully accomplish the mission associated with the enterprise, which involved addressing biological and or radiological incidents and need for decontamination or bioremediation as a result of such contamination, which necessitated having some sort of national security authorization and or at least acknowledgement if you're actually going to try to do something on that level with that kind of a skill set and with those kind of people. And by that time, I had no proof, demonstrably speaking, that anything I'd done up to that point in order to secure that had been done illegally. It was a matter of getting a response back and trying to deal with what was obviously some sort of acts of infiltration and sabotage that were going on to preclude that kind of confirmation. But in order for that to move forward, it had to move forward concurrently with actual criminal charges associated with the profundity of the allegations. I haven't read this report since. I'm going to read it now. Why? Just because apparently some sort of the material preconditions in order to enable the fruition of a good faith effort in these regards have come to be. Is there too much bad faith for it to yield any fruit? There may well be, but I'm not dead, and all the metrics hit. So let's see what it said. It's taken a second to open up. It's 4:24 p.m., June 5th, 2020. But this is additional report on role of banking bailout and enterprise corruption, proposed May of 2017. It says submitted to Office of Senator Ted Cruz on June 6th, 2017. Well, I'll be damned. Today is June 5th, huh? Well, there you go. The suit aims to show how pervasive enterprise corruption has infiltrated and assumed control of the U.S. health and human services system via the financial industry. The criminal enterprise at the heart of this syndicate includes many current and former members of the U.S. Congress and other governmental agencies, as well as banking, insurance, and financial services executives and board members. Their efforts have been effectuated through legislation aimed at creating an enduring situation of, quote, unlawful debt, end quote, for citizens of the United States and others. This, quote, unlawful debt, end quote, is used to engage U.S. citizens and others in behavioral economics experiments designed to create human transactional vehicles to facilitate the transfer to a fully digitalized economy and access, quote, abstract labor, end quote, and other, quote, abstract assets, end quote, from U.S. citizens and others. Several pieces of legislation prior to 2007 paved the way for this process of obligating U.S. citizens to, quote, unlawful debts, end quote, for the purposes of collecting material and abstract assets for assignment to various financial institutions. These institutions were engaged through the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act of 2008, and complementary pieces of legislation reveal the structure of the criminal enterprise. The later introduction and passage of the Affordable Care Act facilitated the proliferation of this criminal enterprise and enabled it to entice U.S. citizens and others into large-scale securities fraud, wire fraud, and acts through which legally constitute peonage. I'm going to stop this because just a second ago I got a notice that I got an email from the court. Why would the court be sending me a notice concerning my case, Kraus versus Tolliver et al., which is actually Tolliver? So it's an order accepting findings and recommendation of the United States Magistrate Judge. So again, Judge Godbee is backing Judge Ramirez. Can you say securities fraud? Can you say that I have evidence that Texas set up a year-long hedging strategy involving cases submitted to the Supreme Court of the United States, Supreme Court of Texas? And there's, let's see what this says. After reviewing, but now I have to interrupt what I was doing because some judge decided they wanted to get a benchmark on today, and I've been denied any and absolutely all due process, and they just sent, what is this? By separate judgment, all the plaintiff's claims will be dismissed with prejudice. Signed today, in accordance with a special order that is not available to me. There's nowhere I can find this. Has been referred for full case management. You know who else has case management? The senator who was in a flight simulator when there was a tanker that got blown up in Afghanistan and a helicopter that got tangled in telephone wires because I called his staffer and she decided to wave me off. Okay, so, we're in a situation now because this is obviously exactly what it shows that it is, right? This is an attempt for the district court and the judges to leverage some sort of hedge to their advantage that is completely fraudulent. It's absolutely 100% fraudulent, and they didn't even hit the benchmarks. I hit the benchmarks, and they overwrote me. So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? It came before 5 o'clock. But after 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm trying to figure out how to handle this because, like I said, all of this stuff that they've been doing is 100% illegal, and it's not about my actual case or my actual charges. They just give me some bullshit document with some names on it and some numbers on it that hit time and benchmarks, never respond to my charges. And if I keep consistent with my charges, there's actually not only a case, but substantial substantiation for my case. And they literally sent this crock of shit to me on a day when the state of Texas and the Texas Supreme Court has a major goddamn fucking hedge that, by the way, they missed. Is that why I'm getting it from the damn fucking district court? Oh, apparently they just sent me another one. Let's see what, literally, there's two more here. Oh, what's this one? Okay, no, I'm sorry, one more. What's this one say? This action came on for consideration by the court, and the issues having been duly considered and the decision duly rendered, it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the plaintiff's complaint is dismissed with prejudice for failure to state a claim. That's not true. I absolutely, you know what? I'm not arguing with them because then that is almost as if I'm acknowledging their authority. Who signed this one? I see. Okay, so this is the second time that Judge Godbee has committed an act of securities fraud in support of acts of securities fraud that were committed by Judge Ramirez. What am I supposed to do? I just want to know, what am I supposed to do?